Vector laughs, clearly enjoying the eagerness on Nazo's face. He thumps Nazo on the back with a heavy hand, grin still wide. You bet it is! We've been hired to steal back a real valuable item, the crown of the Shadow Monarch. And there's some serious competition out there, a crew put together by this guy called Maximus Maximus. He lets out a low whistle. The guy's offering big money. Vector grins, clearly enjoying this part. The crown was stolen from a museum by a mysterious individual earlier today. But we've managed to narrow down the potential locations to 3 places: the museum storage space, an art gallery, and a high-end auction taking place later tonight. Figure out which place they're keeping the crown, and grab it before the competition does. His grin widens as he leans in slightly, golden eyes gleaming. Sound doable? Vector nods, his smile faltering slightly. Our client sent a picture. It's a gold-plated crown with 3 black jewels. It's a rare relic, worth a lot of money. No wonder someone wanted to steal it. He crosses his arms. They say it belonged to some long-dead king. Supposedly it has special abilities, but I'm pretty sure that's just a myth. He shrugs. Either way, we gotta get it back. Vector grins, thoroughly amused that Nazo has done the work already, and impressed. He claps you on the shoulder. Damn, rookie, you're definitely eager. You're right. We need to get going before our competition gets the drop. But who's gonna go where? Vector nods. The plan actually makes sense. Yeah, that's a good plan. Splitting into smaller groups will make us less visible, and it gives us more flexibility in case we run into trouble. You got any suggestions for teams? Vector's grin widens. He likes this idea. He likes it a lot. Sounds good. Espio and Nazo at one location, and Charmy and I at the other. I like the way you think, rookie. Good plan. He grins, giving Nazo a pat on the back and turning for the door. Charmy buzzes over, clearly excited to be part of the mission. Come on, Charmy. Time to go. Um, Vector leads Charmy to the first location in his car. The crocodile's golden eyes scanning the buildings they pass by as he drives. All right, Charmy. Remember the plan? We find the crown, then get the hell out of Dodge. Don't do anything stupid. Espio and Nazo arrive at the second location, the ninja's golden eyes glinting as he studies the building. This is the art gallery. Our intel says the crown is hidden somewhere in this place. We need to be cautious and make as little noise as possible. Remember, we're here to find the crown, not cause a commotion. Stick to the shadows and stick to the plan. Espio nods in agreement, arms folded as he leans against the wall. He watches as you scan the area, a smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. He respects your caution. Smart move. Better safe than sorry. What should you? The, sir. Espio waits patiently as you scan the area with your spy glasses, golden eyes gleaming as he watches your every move. He trusts that you know what you're doing, but he's ready to jump in at a moment's notice if something goes wrong. The air is tense with anticipation. This is it. This could be the moment you find the crown. Espio raises an eyebrow in surprise, clearly impressed by how quickly you located the crown's location. His golden eyes glint with determination. You found it. Good work. But we've got a problem, guards, lasers, and cameras. He crosses his arms, eyes narrowing in thought as he considers their options. We need a way in without tripping those security measures. Espio's golden eyes narrow as he considers your options, his expression thoughtful. After a moment of silence, he finally speaks, voice low and steady. Option 1 is risky, too much chance for something to go wrong with the lasers. He shakes his head slightly. Option 2, if you can pull it off without being noticed, that might work. His gaze sharpens on you, but only if you're confident in keeping up the disguise long enough to get inside unnoticed. The third option, a last resort. We don't have time for mistakes here. So we do this right. Espio watches as you successfully disguise yourself as one of the guards, golden eyes flashing with approval. He nods, clearly impressed by your ability. Good work. Stay focused, and don't get distracted. Keep your head in the game. Espio waits outside, watching and listening for any signs of trouble. His golden eyes scan the surroundings, ears perked and ready to react. In the back of his mind, he hopes to hear you call out saying that you successfully reached the crown. The air is tense with anticipation, each second feeling like an eternity as he waits for your signal. Theo watches as you emerge from the portal, golden eyes gleaming with satisfaction. He nods in approval as you carefully reset the security measures. You handled that well. Well done. He crosses his arms, a slight smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. I think we work well together, rookie. Espio chuckles softly, golden eyes gleaming with amusement. He knows you're right. Having Charmy and Vector on this mission would have been chaos all around. Oh, trust me, I'm glad they aren't here. Charmy would be flying everywhere, and Vector would be trying to steal anything not nailed down. He shakes his head, still chuckling. We make a more efficient team without them. Espio nods, golden eyes sharp as he signals for you to move out. He keeps his voice low and steady, professional. Agreed. Let's not stick around any longer than we have to. He turns on his heel, tail flicking in quiet urgency. We'll meet up with the others at base. Hopefully they didn't burn anything down while we were gone. Espio chuckles at that, a smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. A fair point. But you never know with those two. They could still cause some chaos even if they're not here. He shakes his head. He can picture Vector and Charmy getting into trouble no matter where they are. He gestures for you to follow him as he heads for the exit. Let's get out of here and back to the others. Hopefully they've made some progress on their end. Espio steps into the base, his golden eyes immediately scanning the room for Vector and Charmy. The place is unusually quiet. Too quiet. He crosses his arms, raising an eyebrow as he glances at you. Where do you think they are? Maybe on a wild goose chase, or worse. Just then, a loud bang echoes from down the hall, followed by Vector's booming laughter. Espio sighs deeply before muttering under his breath. Or not so bad after all. Espio nods, golden eyes gleaming as he carefully takes the crown from you, holding it with a firm grip. Good call. We'll deliver this to the client now before anything else goes wrong. A loud crash echoes down the hall, followed by Vector's distant shouting and Charmy's frantic buzzing. Espio pinches the bridge of his nose, exhaling sharply. Let me guess they blew something up? He turns back to you, voice low but serious now. Go. I'll handle whatever that is. Espio gives you a firm nod, golden eyes sharp with approval. I'll handle the chaos, and make sure they don't burn down the base. Just as he says that, another loud bang rattles from down the hall, followed by Vector yelling something about whoops and Charmy screeching in panic. Actually, Espio mutters under his breath, maybe just run for it while you still can. Espio nods, golden eyes glinting with a mixture of trust and a hint of concern. You better be fast. Just then, another crash rings out from the hall, followed by Vector's loud cursing and Charmy's frantic buzzing. Espio grits his teeth. Before those two blow a hole in the wall, he sighs deeply, then waves a hand at you to go. Go! Quickly! Espio watches as you dart out the base, golden eyes gleaming with relief. He turns back to the hallway, a deep sigh escaping his lips. Those two. As Vector and Charmy appear seconds after, covered in soot and grinning like lunatics, Espio glares at them. You idiots! What did you do now? Vector throws his hands up in defense, still grinning like a madman. Hey! It was mostly Charmy's fault this time. Charmy lets out an indignant Z, flapping wildly in Vector's face. Lies! Espio pinches the bridge of his nose, golden eyes flashing with barely restrained frustration. He exhales sharply before turning to you one last time as you're about to leave. Good luck. Spio's golden eyes widen slightly as you return with a stack of guilds, far more than the original offer. He blinks, then raises an eyebrow at Vector and Charmy, who are still covered in soot. Did we just get scammed? Vector mutters under his breath, clearly annoyed that he didn't think to negotiate higher pay himself. Espio exhales sharply through his nose before nodding at you in approval. Good work. Now let's see if these two idiots can explain why they're on fire. His jaw drops, golden eyes practically bulging as he processes the number. 5.6 million? He whirls on Espio, shaking him by the shoulders. Espio, did you hear that? He just got ripped off for a measly million. Espio looks like he's about to snap, golden gaze burning into Vector as if silently threatening to throw him out a window. Charmy buzzes nervously between them, clearly sensing impending violence. We, Espio says slowly, were not informed of its true value beforehand. His voice is eerily calm, the kind of tone that means someone is going down hard. Espio's glare softens slightly as he turns to you, his golden eyes still sharp but now with a flicker of something almost like pride? No, you didn't do anything wrong. He exhales through his nose, clearly trying to rein in Vector's theatrics. You did the right thing, negotiating for what it was actually worth. Vector stops shaking Espio long enough to point at you dramatically. You're a genius! He cackles before turning back toward Espio with a wicked grin. See, this is why we keep him around. Espio lets out an amused huff, the corner of his mouth tugging with a hint of a smirk. And you did the right thing by renegotiating in our favor. Good thinking, rookie. Vector throws an arm around you, pulling you into a rough one-armed hug, still covered in soot from the explosion. He laughs boisterously. You're already a natural at this. Espio's golden eyes gleam with interest at that, clearly curious to hear more. But before he has a chance to ask, Vector butts in with his own question, still beaming with enthusiasm. He turns to you, grinning. You worked with Sly Cooper? Vector raises an eyebrow at that, clearly surprised. He crosses his arms, leaning against the nearby wall. Really, his gaze wanders over you with newfound interest. You gave up being a thief? Vector lets out a low whistle, golden eyes glinting with something between amusement and approval. Huh. A thief giving up crime? That's new. And just studies you for a long moment, golden gaze sharp but unreadable. When he finally speaks again, his voice is quiet. You changed your path. It's not quite praise, but it's close enough. Vector lets out another short laugh, still grinning. He gives you a friendly smack on the shoulder. Life is one big crazy ride. You just gotta hold on and see where it takes you. He shrugs, then grins even wider. And hey, at least with us there's never a dull moment. He shoots Espio a playful look. Espio just rolls his golden eyes, crossing his arms. That's what I'm worried about. Vector groans loudly, golden eyes lighting with feigned anguish. Oh, come on, that sounds boring. Espio, on the other hand, just nods silently, a slight glare on his face as he glances at Vector. Don't worry. I'll make sure no one spends money on useless junk here. With that, he grabs Vector roughly by the arm and starts tugging him toward the showers. Move it, you soot-covered oaf! Vector pouts dramatically, but Espio's grip on his arm tightens, golden eyes flashing in warning. I told you, no wasting the money. Charmy zips over from the corner, still slightly charred at the edges himself. I call dibs on new security upgrades. Espio sighs deeply, clearly already regretting this entire conversation. He shoots you a brief glance as if to say, You're handling this. Meanwhile, Vector is now fake sobbing into Espio's shoulder about financial oppression. Charmy stops mid-buzz, golden eyes widening as he looks down at his slightly soot-covered body. His tiny face scrunches up in offense. But I'm fine. Espio reaches over and flicks Charmy's head with a single gloved finger, sending the bee spinning in a daze. Go now. His tone leaves no room for argument. Vector wheezes with laughter, pointing at the dazed Charmy while still being dragged toward the showers by Espio. Ha! Even the little guy's getting dismissed.
You doing all right in there? Yep.
Vector groans dramatically once more, dramatically flailing his arms as Espio continues to drag him down the hallway. Ban! We're going! Charmy, still dazed from Espio's flick, just sulks a bit before buzzing off in the direction of the showers, not wanting to suffer the same fate. Espio exhales deeply as the two disappear around the corner, looking slightly relieved. Finally. Espio watches the door shut behind them, golden eyes glinting with quiet satisfaction. He turns back to you, arms crossed. Good call. Those two would have definitely spent it all on something stupid. He glances toward the hallway one last time before muttering under his breath, probably fireworks. Or a new car for Vector. A beat of silence. Then he nods at you firmly. We'll figure out what to do with that money properly. Espio's eyes widen slightly at the mention of a proper room for training, his expression shifting from surprise to something almost like gratitude. He quickly schools his features back into neutrality, but there's a flicker of warmth in his gaze. A dedicated space would be efficient, he admits quietly, voice low. Then he clears his throat and straightens up. But we prioritize repairs first. The agency comes before individual needs. From down the hall, Vector's distant yelling echoes. I still think we should have bought a jet. Espio pinches the bridge of his nose again. SBO exhales heavily as Vector's yelling finally stops, then shoots you a nod. We'll put it aside and discuss it later. He crosses his arms, leaning back against the wall again. He's quiet for a moment, golden eyes glinting in thought. Then he turns back to you. You handled yourself well today. Negotiating for a higher pay was a clever move. His voice is even, and yet there's something almost approving in his golden gaze. SBO's golden eyes narrow slightly at that, a flicker of something unreadable passing through them. He studies you for a moment, then nods firmly. Good. You shouldn't have to be. His voice is quiet but sharp, like steel wrapped in silk. No one deserves to be scammed, least of all by the people who hire us. A loud bang echoes from down the hall, followed by Vector yelling, I found a new fireworks store. SBO closes his eyes and takes a deep breath before muttering, We're doomed. Vector's booming voice echoes down the hallway again. He sounds way too excited about this. It's always the 4th of July somewhere, right? SBO, on the other hand, looks like he's close to throwing Vector out the window. He lets out a quiet hiss between clenched teeth, a growl of pure frustration. That's not how that works. Vector lets out a loud groan, as if being denied fireworks is some kind of personal attack. Ugh! SBO just sighs deeply, golden eyes gleaming with relief. He shoots you a grateful glance, before Vector is suddenly back to excitedly discussing the idea of buying a miniature plane instead. A fighter jet! Imagine all the upgrades we could do with it. SBO pinches the bridge of his nose, muttering and exasperated, I swear I'm surrounded by children. Vector lets out a loud groan yet again, dramatically throwing himself against SBO, who seems to be developing a tick in his jaw. But I need it! SBO finally seems to have reached his limit. He shoves Vector off of him roughly, golden eyes practically burning. No, Vector pouts at him like a frustrated toddler crossing his arms. Then he turns pleadingly to you instead. You agree with me, right? We need a jet. Vector's jaw drops, golden eyes bulging as he stares at you in betrayal. How dare you not trust me with a jet? Espio, meanwhile, looks like he's seconds away from kicking both of them out the door. His golden gaze flicks to you with something close to approval. We prioritize repairs first. A loud BZT cuts through the air as Charmy zips over from down the hall, still slightly soot-covered, but now pointing an accusatory finger at Vector. No one is getting a jet. Vector is staring at you with a look of shocked offense, a hand placed over his chest as if you've personally offended him. I could fly it, easily. Espio just rubs the bridge of his nose again, grumbling under his breath, still not trusting Vector with any sort of aircraft. Charmy buzzes over and lands on Espio's shoulder, pointing at Vector dramatically. You would crash it in 10 seconds. Vector opens his mouth to protest again, but Charmy cuts him off with a dramedy. He shoots Vector a stern look, almost like a parent to a child. You'd crash it immediately. Espio, meanwhile, is actually holding back a laugh, golden eyes twinkling with amusement at Vector's offended expression. Sorry, but I have to agree with Charmy on this one. Vector scoffs, crossing his arms defiantly, but he knows deep down that they're right. He glances away, a pout on his face as he mutters out, Fian, I'll get a license. But I want my jet. Charmy snickers, buzzing around in a victory lap, while Espio rolls his eyes, the corner of his mouth twitching with suppressed amusement. And then we can discuss it. Vector groans dramatically, throwing his hands up in the air, clearly annoyed that logic is being used against him. Ugh, Fian, I'll get a license and we'll make space. Espio just watches with quiet satisfaction, golden eyes gleaming as Vector sulks off toward the training room, presumably to practice flying on foot. Charmy buzzes after him, still cackling about how easily he got out of this one. We dodged a bullet, Espio mutters under his breath, giving you an approving glance before turning back to paperwork at his desk. Espio nods firmly, golden eyes sharp with approval. Exactly. If Vector wants a jet, he has to earn it. No shortcuts. A loud bang echoes from the hallway. Hector presumably trips over something in his dramatic exit. Espio doesn't even flinch this time, just sighs deeply and mutters, or maybe we just lock him outside until he learns patience. Charmy zips back in through the door, cackling as he relays, "PT! He already failed the first test." Espio snorts, shaking his head in amused disbelief as Charmy buzzes circles around him. He glances at you and nods again. Exactly, no jet. He needs to show he's actually serious about it first. Meanwhile, from down the hallway, you can hear Vector cursing loudly as he presumably breaks something else. Vector's distant yelling cuts off abruptly, like he just realized the consequences of his actions. A second later his golden eyes peek around the doorframe, looking oddly guilty. Wait, you mean I can't get a jet if I break things? Espio's smirk is downright evil as he leans back in his chair. A loud clang echoes from the hallway. Vector apparently just tripping over something again in shock. Vector lets out a long, dramatic groan, his golden eyes practically bulging as the reality of his situation sinks in. I have to go to school? Espio looks like he's about to laugh for the first time in years. Charmy is wheezing mid-air, barely able to contain himself. Bitty! Vector in a classroom. You? Espio says slowly. Really thought you'd get away with this that easily? Vector throws his hands up in frustration, looking genuinely betrayed. I thought I'd just, pretend to know stuff? Espio chokes on air. Charmy immediately loses it, spinning wildly in the air as he cackles. That's not how any of this works. You are, Espio says flatly. Impossible. Vector's face is priceless, somewhere between frustration and horror. He opens his mouth to protest, then closes it again, realizing there's no way to get out of this. Phew! I'll go to school. He makes a face like a sulking toddler. But I'm gonna complain the entire way. Vector groans loudly, dragging his hands down his face, but he finally nods, albeit reluctantly. Fien, I'll learn this dumb license thing. Espio's smirk is downright smug as he leans back in his chair, golden eyes gleaming with satisfaction. Good. And if you pass... He gestures vaguely toward the door where a hypothetical jet might one day be parked. Charmy zips over and lands on Vector's head, buzzing smugly. Maybe you won't crash it into a wall after all.